and then we're going to charge you a fee. So like, what incentive does the smoker have to follow through with the tests? It's very hard to imagine in a free country how this would work. Right? Maybe there's an alternative kind of penalty. So I had a thing on this that I took away, which was a thing from the internet about the negative consequences of antabuse. So antabuse is a pill that you can take if you're an alcoholic or if you're addicted to alcohol. That if you're taking antabuse and then you drink on top of it, it gives you these like really, really nasty reactions. Break out in hives, you get nauseous, and there's this website I had a shot at last year, long list of potential symptoms that ended with possible death. It's like, okay, maybe that works. Most alcoholics don't actually want to die from drinking one drink of alcohol, but it's a little bit harsh. So it's clear that third-party provision of commitment devices depends upon, at best, some complicated technological issues, maybe even some sort of ethical issues as well. Does it solve the problem if the thing we're dealing with is a healthy product, like going to the gym or eating good food? Okay, in this case, the patient self wants to consume more of the product than the inpatient self, right? Because the benefits, the cost is in the short term, I have to eat this yucky broccoli, but the benefits are in the long term, that I won't have to die of a heart attack. In this case, again, the committed device allows firms to contract with the patient self, but that means that the patient self will want to buy more from the firm. So this should solve the problem, right? And in fact, we do see a fair amount of this, right? So for example, this would be paying a long-term premium for short-term subsidy. We've already seen health club memberships, which could be an example of that. I think of community-supported agriculture, right? Are you guys familiar with these? You subscribe for a box of organic vegetables that then shows up on your doorstep once a week, whether you can figure out how to cook them all or not. Always more than you can eat. So you pay in advance, a monthly payment, and then you get free food on a weekly basis. You don't have to decide, I'm going to go pay the extra for the organic. You paid when you were patient. All you have to do in the box shop is just figure out what to do with the vegetables. And the answer is you get Vitamix. You just put them all in the Vitamix. Then there are these self-subsidized health maintenance programs. There's a website called stick.com that someone mentioned last time to me after the class. And there are also a lot of employers are now trying this. You pay some of your money, sometimes it's taken straight out of your paycheck, into a fund. And the fund then pays you back each time you exercise or stick to your diet or achieve some other personal self-control related goal. Right? So you're going to pay a one-time payment, and then there's a short-term incentive every time you stick to your goal. So if the product is healthy, this kind of might work, and the evidence seems to suggest that maybe it does work. Maybe this question of whether it's profitable or unprofitable to the firm is what's driving things. Note that this still doesn't solve the problem of projection bias if the healthy product is habit forming. It also doesn't solve the problem of naivete. Right? If you don't know you have a problem. Or you don't think you have a problem. Everybody knows they have a problem. Some people don't think they have a problem. Are you familiar with this notion? Some people experience this more than others. You know something's true. You can act as if you know it, as if you think it's not. So you're simultaneously holding in your mind two completely contradictory beliefs. This is called denial. You familiar with this? You guys know what the word, the acronym denial stands for? It stands for don't even know I am lying. Which is no spelled with an N instead of K. What if there was an unhealthy product? So what we saw with the smoking is that the patient self wants to smoke less than the inpatient self. What if there was an unhealthy product where a commitment device could actually increase your consumption? That your patient self would actually want to consume more of this unhealthy product than your inpatient self. So let's think about online games. Now, there's various different kinds of computer games, and I think they vary in the particular way that people lose control of themselves. I want to focus on the one more game phenomenon, okay, or one more round, which is a phenomenon that arises in games that come in relatively short, discrete increments, where you get to make a choice whether or not to play the next game between every 2 games or rounds. So this was Minesweeper for me, and then later Web Bubble, which almost cost me my dissertation. So you get some short-term enjoyment from the game, but there's a long-term cost from playing too much because you lose sleep, you don't get your work done, maybe you play it while you're on the job and you then get fired, etc. And what happens is that some players choose to abstain completely as a form of sort of self-commitment, right? It's like remember the sophisticate who did the problem set right away to prevent themselves from procrastinating later on? The person who just goes and deletes all of the games from their computer and then gets an internet blocker or something like that. I mean, people will go way out of their way to control their behavior online. I have some horrendous stories about people I know who've just done extraordinary things in the effort to try to control their online behavior. And then done even more extraordinary things to overcome their attempts to control their behavior. So what would be the effect of a commitment device under these conditions where there's this sort of preemptive abstinence self-control mechanism going on? Okay? So here's some research that I've done with a co-author named Vinci Chow, who is now teaching in Hong Kong, which is where he's from. So we found, by which I mean I became addicted to, actually that's not true. Okay, so I had talked about this research idea based on Minesweeper with one of my classmates. My classmate found WebBoggle and said, hey, check this out. It might be interesting to you for research purposes. I then became addicted to it. It's the 3-minute word search game. So this is a famous, you shake up the cubes in a little grid and you search for words for 3 minutes. And this is an online implementation of it. So here's how it works, okay? You have the game board, which is in this case 5 by 5, these letters. And you try to find, and you're going to enter your guesses as to what words there are on board, okay? So for example, when I played this board, I found spoon. And then I found sharp. And then I was very pleased with myself because I found harpoon, and actually harpoons, which I didn't apparently enter. Okay? Which would have been an 8-point word. So that's WebBubble, and and then you get ranked. So you're playing with everybody else who's online at the time, and that list of names goes way, it's like 150 people sometimes. And you're ranked by your score. So you get to sort of get this exciting little hit between games of like, ooh, I was in the top third, I'm going to go for it. Okay. So just to give you a sense of, I'm not going to look at the names there's some very goofy names in there. So here are some of the usernames, right? So here's some anecdotal evidence as to whether or not this is actually addictive. These are some of the usernames that people have: not addicted, in denial, boggle addict, addicted now, and bogglers anonymous. Okay. There's a player forum. Not very many people post to it, but some do. And this person said, for some reason I always imagine this person has an English accent. WebBoggle is really good fun, and I'm very pleased to have come across it. No, wait a minute, what am I saying? It's an addictive nightmare. It's ruining my life. Okay. So here's what we think might be going on. Okay. So you start out and you think to yourself, these are games, right? These little checkboxes are individual games. They're 3 minutes long. There's a 45-second delay in between games. So you sit down and you think to yourself, I want to play 7 games, and then stop. Okay? And then you get to the end of the 7th game, and you choose to play just game 8. I'll play one more game. After that, I'll be patient, and I'll stop. And then you get game 9 and game 10, and so on. And so this is over-allocation. You're over-allocating your time, whether it's leisure time or work time, to playing the game. Because if you're naive, or even partially naive, you get to the end of game 7, and you think to yourself, I'm impatient now, I want one game. But after one game, I'll be patient, and I'll stop. That's exactly what the model says. Now, what's bizarre about this, and the reason why Matt Rabin refused to endorse the use of the beta-delta model in this situation, is that the time period is 3 minutes and 45 seconds long. So if we're trying to explain this phenomenon using the beta-delta model, we're saying you're impatient now, but you believe that the future begins in 3 minutes and 45 seconds, and you're going to be patient then. This is a level of denial that is simultaneously should be shocking, except that we just know it's not shocking at all, right? But here's the other thing that goes on, okay? If you're not naive, if you're sophisticated, you know you won't stop, and that this barrier you created for yourself will just be shattered, and so you don't start at all. You don't put yourself in a tempting situation in the first place. And this then, right, keep in mind, this is somebody who wanted to play 7 games, rationally. In their patient self, they wanted to play 7 games. Now they're playing none. Well, if they wound up playing 107, that's obviously not optimal, but none is not optimal either, okay? So what do? We created 2 devices. Sorry, that's actually highly uncharitable. Vinci created 2 devices. I imagined them. He created them. We have the ex ante device. You commit at the beginning of the session to how many games you want to play, and after that, the game is going to shut you down, right? A self-imposed Big Brother. And does everybody know that when I say Big Brother, I'm not talking about the reality TV show? I'm talking about the George Orwell novel. Do you still read 1984 in high school in this country? Good. Okay, good. And then there's an in-game device, which is what I call the one more game button. So here's game 6. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know you want to play the 7th game. You know that after that you want to stop, but you also know you've watched yourself enough times. This is really bizarre psychologically, and this really can't be explained. I know right now that I'm the kind of sucker who thinks he'll be patient in 3 minutes, but I also know that I won't actually be patient in 3 minutes. So I'm simultaneously, I know I'm going to act I'm going to act like a naive, but I'm simultaneously thinking about that as if I was a sophisticate. So that's really puzzling for the model, but we also just know that that's what happens psychologically, okay? And so what you do is you say, I'll let myself play this game, and then I want to commit to bind myself to shutting the thing down or having it shut down after 1 more game. So this is like saying, I'll smoke 1 more pack of cigarettes while I'm voting for the tax, okay? And here's what they look like. So this is the ex ante device. It pops up as soon as you log in and enter your username, and it says, limit your playtime, and then how many games you want to play, and after that you'll be blocked for 1 hour. And then you can, if you're not sure what it is, you can find out here, and then you can just skip by saying no thanks. And that pops up every time for the people who have that device assigned to them. Here's the in-game device, okay? So here's that place where you enter your guesses. Between games, you get this little button, log me off after 1 more game. And if you click it, it says, it just asks you to confirm, basically. It tells you what's going to happen and asks you to confirm. And the guy who actually owns the site, who did all this for us, forced us to put these little informational things in there so that people would not be so spooked and freaked out. Nobody knew there was a randomized experiment being run. So he wanted them to at least have some notion of what was going on. So here's the experiment. We want to know what percentage of players will use these commitment devices, and how will the commitment devices affect their game playing behavior compared to players who don't get those devices. All right? So we tracked down the guy who owns this website, who lives in Waco, Texas. He's not a branch Dravidian, don't worry. And he set this thing up for us, and we randomly assigned players by time zone. So I think in 2-week blocks, whatever time zone you're in, during this 2 weeks, you're assigned to the treatment group, and then for the following 2 weeks, if you joined the game during this 2 weeks, so you don't switch back and forth as an individual, but people, when you sign up and get a username, if it's the 2 weeks when your time zone is assigned to treatment, you go into the treatment group, and then it flips back and forth. So we have people from every time zone in each group over time, and basically everyone in the world who plays this game is in our experiment to this day. And then we record all the game playing behavior, when and how they use the commitment devices, when they play the game, how long they play, and how well they do in the game. And we can see whether they're doing it during what are normal work hours in their time zone, or whether they're doing it at night, what day of the week it is, all that kind of stuff. And the experiment runs forever. Our hypotheses are these, that compared to the control subjects, the treatment players will use the devices and then play shorter sessions, right, because they're not going to overplay, but play more sessions in total because they won't have to abstain, and that they will then keep playing the game longer over time because it will be more desirable to them to do so. I don't mean over time each day, I mean over the long haul, that they will find the game more gratifying and more enjoyable. My hypothesis initially going into it was not that they would find it more enjoyable, but that they would find it less vexing, right? If you overplay a lot of times and lose control, you start to feel like, man, screw this game, I'm going to go find a game that doesn't cause me this problem. Okay, so here's what we found. Regarding commitment device usage. Okay, so this is just looking at players who started playing the game between February and May of 2010. And then we have data, when we did this analysis, we had data on them through December of 2010. So there was 1,800 in treatment, 1,750 in control, and so we followed them until December 27th of 2010. Many of them were still playing by the end of the data set, which means that we don't really know how long they stayed with the game or when they dropped out. With more data, we'll eventually look. Now, by now we have 2 years worth of data, but we haven't looked at it recently. So here's what happens with the commitment devices usage. Okay, among the treated group, which was 1,800 people, 339 of them used the ex ante device at some point during this, in some game playing session during this period. 256 used the in-game, and of those, 214 used both. So if you add together these 2 numbers and then subtract that, you get 381 of these people used one or other of these devices. And I think this has actually used them at least 3 times. So they're not just tire kickers who want to see what it's like one time. So that's 21.1% of treatment players who use the commitment device at some point. Then what about the number of sessions during which they used them? Right? So that's just players. How many times are they actually using it? So, and I don't have the total number of game sessions. We can back it out because I've got a percentage. 31,000 game playing sessions involve the use of the ex ante device. 40,000 involve the in-game one more play button. 25,000 both. So when you subtract off the intersection of those two, you get roughly 47,000 game playing sessions, which turns out to be 62.5% of all the game playing sessions that played by these 1,809 players in the treated group. So even though they're only 20% of the players, they imposed a commitment device on themselves frequently enough and also they're the ones who are playing so much, right? That it actually wound up being almost 2/3 of the gameplay sessions involved somebody trying to commit themselves to limit their play. Okay, what about actual game playing behavior? So this is average for the groups as a whole. The total number of sessions in the period was, on average, 37.8 for the control group and 40 for the treatment group. So they played more frequently. Okay, that was one of our hypotheses. The games per session went from 5.18 to 4.97. Not a big jump on average, but it is a reduction. It's statistically significant. Everything in this data set is statistically significant because it's so big. Our sample size is insanely large. So we got this right. People play shorter sessions. We got this right. They play more of them. Total games played, 210 to 206. We got that right. They play more games overall. And then longevity, which is how long they stay with the game in days, went from 57.2 to 63.3. But keep in mind that's truncated because we have a whole bunch of people who haven't stopped playing the game by the end of the data set. Okay, so there's two things that are hidden in this. There's heterogeneity because there are some people who don't play much and don't seem to have much of a self-control problem, and then there are people who play a ton, right? So when you look at averages, you lose that. What we really care about is not the effect. We care about the effect on people who play the most, but what we really care about within them is the effect on not on their average session length, but on the effect on their longest sessions, the ones where they really lose control. And we haven't done that analysis yet, but what we have done is this: we've looked at heterogeneity in who has the big problem and how does this affect the players of the people who play the most. Okay, whoops, why is that not advancing? Oh, because I'm pressing the wrong button. There we go. When we control for when people start playing, which helps us to deal with the truncation problem, so effectively we're just looking at people who have stopped by the time the end of the data set, the increase in longevity on average is 25 days, which is a lot more than this difference. If we then look at the heterogeneity, if we look at the 75th percentile of how frequently people played, which is not even way up into the top, but it's, like 3/4 of the way up the distribution of longevity, of game playing, longevity goes up by 90 days, which turns out to be a 100% increase in how long people stay with the game. Okay? They play a lot more Web Boggle in total, both on a daily, weekly basis, but also in terms of how long they actually play the game. Okay? Now, this game is offered free by a man who makes his living as a contract lawyer in Waco, Texas, who happens to be a hobbyist Python programmer. But it's not the case for a lot of games. So let's then see what we can learn about what actually these people's experience was. I'm a big believer, most economists aren't. I'm a big believer in just going and asking people what they think about things. Most economists consider that to be relative nonsense, but I think it's useful. Okay, so this is from a pilot that we ran back in 2008 where we asked people to comment on the experience. Okay? So just to confirm the basic intuition behind the experiment, some comments. Sometimes I play on even after I'm exhausted, but this tool it seems easier to get myself off. When I play, I keep thinking, one more game, and I never quit. This way I'm made to quit. Perfect. Helped me with quitting when I otherwise would continue playing until 3 a.m. Okay? That was me. So implications for productivity and labor market outcomes. I could play a set number of games and know that I would still get work done. It keeps me from playing for hours instead of working. I don't know if those people are students or if they're self-employed or if they're actually burning up somebody else's time on the clock. Either way. And then I really like this comment because it suggests that there's really a big time win-win here, both in terms of your patient self and your impatient self. Limiting the number of games played stops me, I assume means stops me from playing addictively, which I find makes me appreciate the game more and enjoy it more when I play. Right? Because sometimes when you're playing these games, it used to happen to me with Minesweeper a lot. I'd be playing the game and I'd be sitting like some kind of drooling addict. I'm so miserable, but I can't stop playing Minesweeper. Roughly 50% of the comments actually said that the devices were unnecessary for them, but very, very few of them said the devices were negative, and the only negative comments we got were, it's a little annoying to have it pop up. Okay? Whoops. I thought I had another slide about that. What just happened? Oh dear. Sorry about this. I can just... Where was I? There we go. That's where I wanted to be. Conclusions and questions. So this is a special case of a harmful good where the patient self wants to play the game more than the impatient self allows them to, and this is because the patient self uses abstinence as a control device. I don't know how generalizable that is. I think it's generalizable to a lot of online games. Implications for the market provision of commitment devices. Well, certain firms should be able to make more money doing this. Okay? If the game, so there are two possibilities here. We see that people continue playing longer. The other possibility is that more people would start playing. I have a friend whose wife bought Sim 4 a few years back for Christmas, and he said, "Thank you, honey," and he put it in the bottom of the closet and never opened it. So if you get your revenue on just from people buying the game, like downloading apps or actually purchasing things, purchasing proprietary software, then you could potentially make more money from more people buying the game. If you make it from monthly subscriptions, then you could make more money because people stay with the game longer. Other revenue models, I don't know, right? Some games maybe you pay by the minute or by the hour, and maybe if there are banner ads, maybe it's actually better to have the person just hooked and staring at those banner ads all the time. I don't know. But I know that for a lot of games, this could increase revenue for the firm. Meanwhile, consumers with self-control problems can increase consumer surplus. They enjoy the game more when they're playing it. They allocate their time more optimally and improves labor market outcomes. Okay? Consumers without self-control problems are not harmed except for this irritation factor, which perhaps we could design out of the system. Big unanswered questions. Why do consumers not demand such commitment devices? Why do firms not supply such commitment devices? Okay? My preferred answer to that question, why was there no demand for automobiles prior to the invention of the automobile? Because nobody knew they wanted one. Because it took some smarty pants to invent the thing before people figured out that they wanted it. So that's my preferred answer because I want to go on record as the smarty pants. Okay? Another possibility is that consumers and firms just need a nudge. Maybe it's just not a big enough deal for the firms to make them want to do it. But maybe if we know that it would be a big deal for some of these players, and maybe there's just a small number of players for whom this would make a huge difference in their lives, and it's just not enough to motivate the firms to do it, even if it would be slightly profitable to them. So maybe they just need a nudge. All right? So this can be proven to benefit some consumers and some firms without harming anyone significantly. Maybe the government should just require this for all games the same way the government requires seatbelts. Seatbelts don't really hurt anybody. And when they became, I was alive when they became legally required, and I had a friend, well, I'm not going to repeat what this friend said. This is something I don't quite understand, but some people felt that it offended their manhood to be forced to wear a seatbelt. I don't quite get that. I'm not quite sure what's manly about having your front teeth broken out when your face hits the steering wheel, but there it is. Further research, we're thinking about doing this with finding a game producer to do this and actually see if they make more money. And then the other thing is to try to do this in some kind of academic or labor market setting and see how it affects people's productivity and quality of life. All right. Enough said about that. Yeah.
So if someone plans to play 27 games or versus someone plays 7 games and have a device that stops them automatically after 7,
yeah.
Why is it in the second case the person finds those 7 games more enjoyable?
Because they're not worrying about the possibility of playing too long while they're playing. I think that's what's going on. You mean the person who said it makes it more enjoyable? Is because they're sitting there confidently knowing I'm going to play 7 games